Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome in. Happy New Year. I hope all of you had a great 2022. I hope all of you have a great 2023. But yeah, this is my end of the year, start of the new year, big extravaganza. I kind of did one last year. It was 2 hours long, just kind of talking about a lot of the games from the year. And I want to do that again with even more games this time, but also some more. Like last year I talked about what was really bothering me with reviewing video games, and I didn't really go into it too much. You know, in the end it didn't end up being like exactly what I wanted that video to be, but I'm still glad that I tried. I really did give it my best effort at the time, and I don't think this one's going to be like drastically better. It's not anything crazy. It's going to be longer from what I can see so far, from what I'm planning. Maybe it'll get up to 3 hours, maybe hopefully a little bit less than that. But yeah, it's going to be more games, so obviously it's going to take up some more time, but also I have some segments in here where I do want to talk a little bit about myself. And you know, this year has been an interesting one. I didn't make a lot of videos, and that's an understatement. I didn't really do much at all, and that's mostly because there's just been a lot going on in my personal life, and I know a lot of you probably don't care, and that's totally fine, but there's just some stuff that I do want to talk about. If I do want to continue on with this channel and keep making videos, I don't want to ignore that. You know, it's not always going to be something I talk about, but in this instance, in these kinds of videos where I can talk about it, I want to. And so, you know, it's not going to be just about that. There's going to be like maybe 4 segments of that in between. There's going to be like 5 games, talk about 5 games, and then talk a little bit about this year, my life, stuff like that. Again, if you're not interested, I totally understand that, but that's just kind of the plan I have for this, and I've been excited for doing this video. I was really excited for doing that big video last year, and I was pretty happy with how it came out, like I said right now. And the big difference between that one and this one, though, is gonna be that one was completely scripted up front, and I was reading off all the 15 games I talked about. It was a complete scripted out like planned thing, and I think that was fine. It really made it easier. Like right now, as I'm starting this out, I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know what I'm gonna say about all these games. I haven't done it yet. I started this, I pressed record, and we're going, and this is gonna be the video. But yeah, these are just all the games that I played this year, and I want to talk about them, and I'm really excited for it. So I think I've said enough for now. Here's a little bit of some God of War Ragnarok footage. I want to make a video on that, like individually, so you're not gonna hear me talk about that game in this one. I'm gonna make like its own standalone. But yeah, let's begin this big event, end of the year, start of the year event. I hope you all enjoy this, and let's get into the 25 games that I want to talk about from 2022. So to start things out, we're into OlliOlli World. This one, it's a lot of fun. So let's start with that. This is a skateboarding game, and it's not your stereotypical skateboarding game. It's not something like Tony Hawk, you know, Pro Skater, or any of the games that came out after that. This is something different. I saw someone in the comments on like a review say that this kind of reminded them of a rhythm game, and I can see where they're coming from with that. I don't necessarily completely agree. It's, as you can see, like it's a static camera sort of side scroller, but not really. It's just, you know, you're skating, and all you're doing is the tricks. You're not like controlling which way you're moving too much. It's all very static, but it still has something special about it. It really does. It has a great art style. First off, I love the colors in this game. I love the writing, as you can see here with some of the dialogue scenes that you get in here. It's really funny. It's quirky. It has a lot of heart, and I think that's important. I think that's what makes games stand out a lot of the time. And it is hard. I die a lot in this. I've never really been too good at skateboarding games when I've noticed like myself playing them, especially once Tony Hawk came back out. I'm like, why was I so much better at these kinds of games when I was younger? Like I just can't. I don't have the brain capacity for it anymore. I just have I don't know what happened. I don't know how to do that anymore. But I tried my best. I bet by the end of the time I was playing it, I was a lot better than you're seeing here. But this game is just a ton of fun. OlliOlli World was one that was like on my radar when it first came out, and then I kind of forgot about it. And then towards the end of the year, I went back to it. Because I just felt like I wanted to check it out before the year was over. I didn't want to miss out on it completely, and it's gonna be one that I go back to for sure. I did have to pay for it. This feels like it'd be such a perfect Game Pass type of game, but I recommend this one. It's not a full price game either, so that's the cool thing. It's only like $30 or maybe less than that, and it's if you're a fan of skateboarding games, that's the thing where I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna play for people that are into these kinds of games, because it is not what you might want from it, but it might be like this perfect in between. for people that aren't really into those kinds of games, but kinda are intrigued by it, you know, that maybe aren't good at them and it's a little too much, or maybe it's just like, maybe this scratches that just enough skateboarding itch without going all the way into it. It's not very like sportsy, you know, maybe it's maybe that kind of thing, that aspect of the games can hold you back from wanting to play it. And this one is more like game arcade style, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's very casual, and it's something you can just pick up and play, and there's a lot to like about that. So yeah, I really did enjoy this game a lot. We're into a really big one here, actually. You know, these are all going to be different types of games. I didn't go into any kind of rhyme or reason for this. I didn't go into any like, there's no order to this. And we're into Horizon Forbidden West. And yeah, this one, again, it's a big game from this year. It was nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. And I was a big fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. I have it. I don't know if any of you have seen one of the first videos I ever made of my favorite games of all time. This was at the top. I think it was maybe around 3 or 4, maybe even 2. I don't remember exactly where I put it. But I love that game, and I was really looking forward to this one. I haven't beat the whole game yet. That's why I haven't put out, like, a lot of the games that are on here. Either they're just kind of smaller games or whatever, but a lot of them are games that I didn't like complete all the way, and so I didn't want to make like its own video for it because I didn't feel like I just felt like I needed to beat the game before I did that. And it's not that I didn't want to, it's just the longer games, the very deeper, heavier games like this, it's always been hard for me to get through them all the way to the end. And but I was having a great time. I haven't even gotten that out of the way yet, but I was having a great time with this game. I love the character work. And I know some people have complaints about like not really being able to get into the story of the Horizon games. Like they're gorgeous, they play really well, but some people don't really connect to the story or maybe the characters or whatever. And I get that. There is something about this one in particular where it just feels a little bit less like, I don't know. There's still a lot of like heart in there for sure. And that's a term that I like to use a lot because I don't know. I think that's just the core of anything, of any work, of any game, song, movie. Like you're really wanting that to connect with. You want it to connect with you, and that comes down to what your heart feels, if your heart loves it or doesn't love it, you know. And I think the characters here are great, and there's a lot of promise. That's the word that comes to mind. There's a lot of promise, and it doesn't really get all the way to being like, okay, they have everything here. This is one of the best games of all time. It never really gets to that point, but it's still a ton of fun. This is a PS5 exclusive that is like very hyped after that first one came out, and especially if you haven't played it yet and you're like hearing about it and knowing that it's a Game of the Year nominee and that type of thing, you're gonna expect something big with these games, and I think you get that. I think they offer exactly what you're hoping for, and I don't know what else you could really ask from it. It's just, it has to do, I think, with the robotic nature of the enemies. I know it's a weird thing, but it's just, whenever I think about it, I'm like, maybe that's what it is. I mean, they're cool, but there's something about it that's not satisfying when you're beating up robot dinosaurs. Like, I just can't explain it otherwise. And also the look of this game, even though it is super nice, I do miss the snow, especially in like these kinds of scenes here in the early part of the game. Like, it's very, well, just in general, like the West, and if you see the trailers, a lot of sand or dirt, just a lot of warm tones. I prefer the cooler tones. I don't always feel that way, but in terms of this game, in the first game, I thought that really it was perfect for that. But the game gets so much nicer, and when you get into like, when you start swimming underwater and all that, it's so pretty. This is a great game. The footage didn't end right here, so that was Horizon Forbidden West. Okay, so Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This one is very, very interesting. I planned on making this as its own video. I had it all like worked out. I was just like, okay, this is the one. This is gonna be my next video I make. And then I just kind of realized over time that this game wasn't connecting with me in the way that I thought it was, or in the way that I thought it was, but also the way I was kind of hoping it might be. Again, this was nominated for Game of the Year, and I hadn't played any of the Xenoblade Chronicles games before. This was my first one jumping into it, and I was really enjoying it the first hour, 2 hours, And then it was like a very sharp, steep decline where I was kind of noticing the same dialogue in the combat a lot. And for whatever reason, like it wasn't that alone that got me annoyed. Like you can kind of start to laugh at it after a while. It is annoying. It is kind of it gets under your skin a little bit. Like can't you say anything else? Just once or twice. Like they say the same things over and over and over again. You kind of get used to it again a little bit, but it was like noticing that first, just noticing that at all, then got my mind thinking about like, wait, am I even enjoying the combat in this? Am I even enjoying playing this game? And I don't know if I really was. It was like the game has the potential of looking great, but the Switch really holds it back, so that kind of was a downside to it. And it does perform well though. The combat is like, it has some of that auto battling type of thing. Not an auto battler, but it does do like auto attacks and stuff, and you can choose what you want to do every once and again, or the whole time. I'm gonna say some things wrong in here without a script, but yeah, it's just that a lot of cutscenes as I'm watching this footage right here with you all here if you're watching this. Yeah, here's some of the combat, but I don't know, it didn't connect with me in all aspects of this game. It was like everything was just kind of good. And I wanted something to be great, like if the dialogue was really connecting with me, if the combat was really connecting with me, if just something was really working, then I could overlook some of the other stuff. But everything kind of just was doing the same thing. It was just like, all right, this is fun. I don't know if I'm actually having that much fun. And it was like a lot of that over and over again. And by the time I was in hour 4, hour 5, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really enjoying this. And I'm going to keep playing it, but I don't know if this is something I want to make a video on type of thing. And so I did have to include it here. I think this is a game of the year that a lot of people are going to really love, of course. Like there's so much to like here. And the best thing about it is the characters. And there is a lot of cutscenes, but I was enjoying the story of it all. And I was enjoying where the story was going. Again, I didn't finish it all the way, but I really enjoyed this story they were telling of just this kind of, can you say rebellion or whatever? I'm not exactly sure. It's just, you're realizing the hardships going on in this world, and they're kind of, the way that they were born into it, their lives are just going to be cut so short and they can't do much about it. And you feel for them and you really start to care for them. And I really like that about it. It's just that I wish there was maybe a little more of that. I don't know. The combat kind of takes away from that, even though there's so much cutscenes and so much dialogue. It's just something was definitely lacking here for me. It just wasn't for me. That's all it really comes down to. And yeah, so that's really how I felt mostly about Xenoblade. So now we're moving into Norco, and this one was out of nowhere. I had never heard of this game. It showed up in the PlayStation Store, and I just dismissed it. I'm like, whatever, that looks interesting, but I'm not gonna play that. And then I kind of heard about it some more. I looked up reviews, and a lot of people were loving it, and something about it just like, oh well, the price definitely helped out. I think it was like $11, and it kept calling to me, and finally I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood for something a little different. Let's try this out. Point and click adventure. Very narrative focused, and this is totally the kind of game for me. I love these kinds of games. I don't mind reading a lot of dialogue if it happens to be in an interesting sort of world, interesting story, and this is definitely that. This has some really great art style. It has some really great like colors that just pop out of the screen. It's just nice to look at, and I think it's funny. The writing is really good. The writing is going to be super important in a game like this where you're reading a lot, and you kind of go through the story through that writing, through the dialogue, and it's, you know, you can choose where you want to go. You kind of choose your own adventure in this, and it's just a ton of fun. I found myself just like, okay, this is so much better than I was hoping for. I could just play this all day. Literally, it's just, if I wanted to, I would put this on, spend an entire Saturday just playing this game. I don't think you can because it's a pretty short game. And still though, like I really enjoyed this. I would recommend it to anybody. Of course, you have to know that you're either into this or you're not into it. It's just that kind of thing. And if you look at this kind of gameplay, if you look at the footage, I think you can, it's one of those where you're like, okay, yeah, I'd be into that. Or No way, no chance. I'll maybe watch someone play that, but I'm not gonna play it myself. But yeah, this is just a really cool game. I mean, it has a little bit of Disco Elysium. Not a ton like it. I mean, a lot of it is just happens to be a lot of dialogue, but the fact that it is just that good of writing, like that's the thing that stands out the most from Disco Elysium, is that it's so heavy in the dialogue, and you have to be into it, or else it's just gonna be really boring, and it's gonna take you out of it completely. This has a lot of that, like I said, and mostly though, this was like, where are we going? Like, what this is a weird story. This is a weird world. This is clearly not just like the normal Earth, normal. Like, there's some weird stuff going on. Why is there a robot that's talking to me? That kind of stuff, where it's just, but it's normal in this world because it's normal to the characters. They're just like, yeah, whatever, this is a robot character that I've talked to before. And it's like, all right, well, if it's normal to you, then I'm cool with it. And the technology and stuff is kind of interesting. And there's a lot that they're not showing you. It's telling you a lot of story through not just the dialogue, but also just through the imagery, through the backgrounds, through the art style, through all of this, just through the visuals. And I love that. I love when they can do that in a game. I love when you can just like, you step into that world just by looking at it. And it does a good job of bringing you into it, of course, as well. And yeah, so I feel like this one, just from my passion for it, just from talking about it here, I can tell just like how much I did like this. This will probably end up on my best of the year list. I haven't made it yet, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't. So Norco, huge recommend. And now we'll move into the next game here, which is Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah, so this one, yeah. I did not hear good things about this game. It came out, it kind of came and went. Like, Ghostwire Tokyo was getting a lot of hype, and it was like, that looks pretty cool, this could be something interesting. And then it came out and it was gone, and it was never talked about really. And I understand why. This is not a good game. I don't think it is. It has potential there. I think if you have it and you enjoy it, I can see why. There's something about it that feels kind of cheap, and I don't like using that word all the time, but it feels accurate here. It doesn't feel polished enough. It just kind of feels like something that was not even rushed I don't think it's rushed at all, but it has something to it where it feels like, what is missing? There's something missing here. The gameplay feels a little off. The visuals feel a little off. The enemies are strange. It's all just kind of not where you want it to be. And that's unfortunate, because at least the themes, the message here, it seems like they do have some big ideas of what they want to do. The world doesn't really like pull me in too much. The enemies didn't either, so it's not like I can even say that they had some good stuff going on here. I played this and I wasn't like hating the time with it. These enemies here, like they're just weird, wearing suits, no faces, wearing holding umbrellas. Like, they're creepy for sure. These schoolgirls without heads. Like, it's creepy, but it's not at the same time, because it doesn't feel genuine, and it's a weird word to say for it, but it just didn't feel earned. Like, I wanted to know. So actually, just like how I was talking about Norco, how there was like weird stuff going on in the world, but it just kind of felt like, all right, instantly you're just like, yeah, that belongs here, and I'm into it. And this one, I didn't buy it so much. It was something weird where it was like, hold on though, but why? Why is this stuff going on? You didn't explain it to me with the visuals. You didn't explain it to me with the dialogue, and I just kind of want to know more before we just jump into this. And I didn't get all the way through, so of course, maybe at some point they'll explain more of what's going on here. And I totally get that. That's part of the story, but that's a problem when the game itself is also not fun at the start. And so when you're not having fun with the combat, when you're not having fun with the story, it's going to be hard to get to that point where they do explain stuff to you. And it's not one that I would even want to put that much time into, unfortunately. So yeah, there's something here. I'm not going to completely bash it. I don't think this one's like terrible. It's just middling. and that's never what you want. It's a little boring, and it has an ugly look to it. There's, again, cheap. It's not a good description for anything, and it's a shame. It's a disappointment. I really did enjoy the trailer for this when it came out, and I was like, yeah, this could be something really cool, and that's what got me. Even after hearing all the bad reviews, hearing like, when you see a game that has at least some hype to it and then nobody talks about it, you kind of don't even need to read the reviews. You just kind of know, like, okay, all right, this one didn't work. But I still wanted to get it. I was still into it, and once it went like on a big sale, that's when I bought it. But yeah, there's not much more I can say though. It's just, it's a disappointment. I would not recommend this one to anybody. It's just not a lot of fun. And yeah, that's Ghostwire Tokyo. Okay, so we can have a little bit of a breather there after those first 5 games. I'm gonna show some Elden Ring footage here from when I first ever started the game. And yeah, so this year, before I even get into like the stuff I was talking about in the intro about my year and my life, let's just talk about 2022 in general, gaming in 2022, and I guess a little bit about my channel in 2022. It was a strange year. It was an interesting year. There were some great games that came out, of course, and Elden Ring was definitely like the talk of 2022 of everybody's. It was like at the top of everyone's mind, and rightfully so. I'm not going to get into it. I made my review on that. Not really a review. I just kind of talked about the game not being my game of the year just because it wasn't the game for me, you know? I still enjoy it. I still love to watch people play it. I think that video got a lot of dislikes just from the title, and that's totally fine. It was clickbaity, I understand. But yeah, this was a strange year. There wasn't a ton of games that like really got me, and you know, that had to do a little bit of why I didn't make a lot of videos. I don't really think this was like a failure of a year for my channel at all. I definitely didn't put as much time into it. Also, if you hear some fireworks in the background, it is New Year's Eve right now, the night of New Year's Eve, so you might hear some popping. I think the mic doesn't usually pick up on that, but if you do hear that, that's what's going on. And yeah, there was just nothing really like got me to want to make videos this year. And let's actually just get into that a little bit. So I don't know how long a lot of you have been following. Some of you probably just got here, but you can always kind of look back in the history and just see like, okay, where did this channel begin and all that. I don't know how many people do, but in case you ever have. That first year, I started this channel in 2019, sort of towards the end of the year, so I didn't do too many videos. It was maybe like 5 videos. And then 2020 started. And that's really where things picked up for me in terms of just making videos. And I ended up making like 50 or 60 videos that year, and I was really having a great time with it. That was a ton of fun. 2021, same thing, made like 60, 70 videos or something. I might have the numbers a little bit off, but those 2 years I really made a lot of videos, and I didn't get a ton of subscribers over that time, but still, it was something I really, really loved. And then that all kind of came to a halt in 2022. That video I made talking about wasn't really enjoying reviewing video games anymore, and that kind of just went into the entirety of the year. And yeah, I just it wasn't even taking a break really. Like, I didn't go into the year thinking like, I'm just not gonna make reviews, I'm not gonna play games, I'm not gonna make videos. It just kind of happened, and I missed it, and I always wanted to keep going, but I didn't know exactly how to do it. I didn't want to make reviews anymore. That's not really my thing. I don't really care too much for like talking about all the in-depth details of video games and that kind of stuff. And I guess in the game footage here that I have, I'm just standing here. I don't know if I'll start moving again. But yeah, it's just one of those things. As much as I love games, they've never been like the love of my life or just something that one of my favorite things to do. Like, I still prioritize watching movies in my downtime. I love reading books. And even though games are always there, it was just one of those like decisions of, I've got to do something that I really love to do, and this might not be it, you know? And so that was the thing of this year, and that's just part of it. That's a really small part of it. I didn't want to get into like the big juicy part of what this video really is about yet. I'm gonna get into it in the next break we have. This is coming to an end here. The 5 minutes go by fast. We're about to get into the next batch of games here. Sorry for me just standing here in the footage. I guess when I was playing, I took a break. It'd be funny if I started moving right when this ends. I didn't take a look at all of this beforehand. But yeah, sorry for this year. Sorry I didn't make a lot of reviews. If you're here though, I have a plan for 2023, and I'll get into that later in the video. But for now, let's jump back into the games. 5 more, and we're gonna start with Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So Kirby and the Forgotten Land, to me, the biggest surprise of 2022. By far, biggest surprise. I don't know, it was another one of those games that I didn't hear a lot about once it came out, and so I kind of assumed that this wasn't that great. Not a lot of people enjoyed it too much. But I think on what I'm figuring out now is that maybe it didn't get talked a lot about because it's just a game you can go through, breeze by really quickly, and then it's just over. And there's not a lot to talk about with it, you know? But this game is so much fun. I loved this game so much. I hadn't really enjoyed a Kirby game like this since literally when I was a kid, playing Nightmare in Dreamland. I named my channel after that game, and I love Kirby. Kirby's my favorite character. Video game character ever. And so I wish I had been looking forward to this more because, I should have been, but I didn't have a lot of expectations from a lot of the Kirby games from before. And this was such a pleasure. I had so much fun. I will go back to it. Whenever I just kind of need a day of just relaxation, of just, it's like watching a Disney movie almost. That's kind of the similar feeling of that. It's just so much fun, stress free. It's so it's Kirby, It makes you happy. It fills your heart with joy, and I loved it. This is gonna be on my top of the year list. I maybe near the top of it. I don't know. I love this more than I can even say. It was such a surprise. I did not expect to say those kinds of words for this, but it happened. And yeah, I'm kind of at a loss. I'm also at a loss because I'm noticing just timing wise actually no, you know what? My timing is perfect. I see why I was messed up. Forget about that. All right. So as you can see here in the footage too, this is very early in the game. Maybe you haven't played, so you wouldn't know that, but I have not finished this game either. There's still a lot of this game I have to explore, but I just know from playing the first half of it or so that this is going to be up there with some of my favorite Kirby games that I've ever played. Kirby Air Ride, Nightmare in Dreamland, Forgotten Land now. These are all games that just instantly okay, this is taking me back to, I guess back then when I was a kid, it wasn't taking me back to anything, but this game took me back to that feeling that I had back then when I would just jump into the first Kirby game that I got in my life, and then the few ones after that, and just knowing instantly this is what I want from video games. I just want to have fun. I don't want to have to think about things too much. I'm just enjoying these weird creatures and the powers Kirby gets from swallowing things, and it's just exactly what you want. It was exactly what I wanted from this, and I don't know where it's gonna go with Kirby in the future. It's always kind of interesting with Kirby games. I know they're coming out with a Dreamland Deluxe type of game, and they had Dream Buffet come out last year. That was a party game, and you just kind of never know with Kirby. They make a ton of Kirby games, but you never know if it's gonna be. I mean, most of the time they're not too great. They're not too notable. But after this one, maybe. I'm surprised this wasn't talked about more. Although I feel like this probably does get some respect in the circles, Kirby circles. But yeah, this was just so much fun, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a huge recommendation from me to anybody, Kirby fans or not. All right, so now moving into the Quarry. This one from Supermassive Games. It's from the makers of Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures Anthology games. If you know those games, you know what this is. This is, you know, you're kind of walking around. It's a very cinematic narrative story, horror based. So this one, it's kind of the teenagers at summer camp story, the Friday the 13th type of thing. And they went in that route for it. A little campy, literally. But yeah, it's just, if you're into this kind of game, if you're into horror, then it's gonna be like a match made in heaven. Will you enjoy the characters though? Will you enjoy the story within it? It's hard to know for sure. I didn't really get into this one as much as I did with Until Dawn, and I think that's mostly because of the characters. I didn't really I didn't really care for all these characters like as much as I did in Until Dawn. I think this is much better than the Dark Pictures games though, and those games just never really worked for me. But this one is still so much fun. I think it's one you can kind of binge through, just kind of play as much as you can on a weekend. But yeah, and they even have like some really cool artistic choices here, like this little tutorial videos. I really enjoyed these a lot. It just kind of adds a little flair to the game. And the quick time event stuff is also still in this. If you've played the other games, it's kind of a big part of them. And they're kind of cool, kind of not cool. I don't know. There's something weird to these games where they kind of always are not everything you want them to be. At least for me, you know, I can only speak for myself. But they have like this really awesome premise, and then when you're into it, it's like, okay, I mean, this is cool, but it's not that cool. It's not like as cool as I really hoped it would be or want it to be. But I still love where they're starting with these games. Like, I don't know, maybe they should be onto something bigger and better now that they've already been doing this for years. But there's not really a lot of other games out there doing it quite like this. I think that's why they stand out so much. And when these games come out, like, people talk about them. People are always, they know about them. They become part of like internet culture type of thing. It's just like people know Until Dawn. I think people talk about this one even more than that one when it was coming out. People like know the Dark Pictures games. They're just they're notable for a reason because they're different. They're a little bit just interesting. They're kind of the cool kid at school type of thing. I don't know. It's just a little out there, and it's a little bit of a different experience. That's really the thing here. Is it's just a bit of a different experience than you're gonna get from a lot of most like main AAA games, indie games, just anything out there. Like, this is the perfect blend of gaming and movies right now that isn't all the way there in terms of graphics or, you know, facial movements and all that stuff. But in terms of the premise, in terms of the concept, they're there. And I think eventually we'll get to a point where all of that comes together, because there's other games where they're there with the graphics, but not truly in a cinematic style like this is. And once we get to a point where all that kind of comes together, then maybe we'll have something special. But until then, these games are perfectly like good enough for what you want from that kind of concept again, or that kind of idea of just let's be a character in a movie. Let's be one of those characters in Friday the 13th. Let's see what we would do in that situation. And they nail that. And again, maybe you wish you could connect to some of these characters a little bit more. Maybe it'd be cool to like have your own character in this. Maybe that's where they could go to next, instead of having it just like you control the movie, you be the director. But we'll see what they do in the future. But yeah, the Quarry was a good time, and I do recommend it. So now we're going into a really, really cool one here. Whenever I see this footage back, or when I see the footage of anybody playing it, I'm just like, how was this made? How was this not bigger than it was? Rollerdrome is one of the coolest games of 2022. One of the coolest games I've ever played. If there was a fault for it, it's just that I wish the game was maybe a little bit bigger. And I wish I was better at it, which I can't fault the game for that. I'm not good at this game. It just has a little bit more of that OlliOlli World thing, where maybe I would have like been incredible at this when I was a kid, but nowadays, not so much. Not a part of my repertoire, so to say. It's just not something I'm great at, and I don't know why. It's just like, it feels kind of like playing piano. Like my hands just don't do what they need to, and I can't shoot and do tricks and do everything I want to at the same time. It's just like my mind is like, well, you're doing too many things here. We can't keep up. And I think the more you play, the more and more you get used to it, the more you train your mind, train your brain to be able to do those things. Which is why I should probably go back to try the piano again, because I really want to learn that. I just haven't, you gotta put in the work. You gotta practice and then get better. But for some people, I bet you're gonna be just naturally good at this, just right off the gate, just killing all these people, doing all the tricks, figuring this out, having a great time. When you look at this footage, it's just like super cool. It has, like, that is the thing. That look at the art style, look at the colors, rollerblading and shooting people. The concept of it is super, super cool too. This is, again, this one of the standouts of the year because of that, because of all of that I just said. This is one that I think if you're able to play it, I'm not sure if it's on all consoles. I feel like it might be a PS5 exclusive also. So it sucks if you don't have the right system to play this. But if you can, if this is something that looks like something you would like, it's a must. It's a must play. It's a must have, because there's nothing like it. It really isn't. There's a lot of like similar games of things that are in this, but not all of it combined into one. And yeah, this is just something. This is a special game. It might not be way at the top of my list of the year because I happen to not be good at it. Like, I wish I was. I really wish I was. And it's not super fair to keep a game low because of that. But that's just what games are. That's what anything is, right? Of course, there are games that are incredible, but if you're not good at them, you're not going to get everything out of it that you might be able to, or someone else might be able to. But still, like, this is one I'll go back to. This is one I want to try and get better at. I love hearing this, like, map is very snowy, and then there's other maps that are very traditional, like skateboarding ramp type stuff, skate park type stuff. And it has a lot to offer here, and it's a shorter game as well, so it's not something that you're going to be able to put, like, 20 hours into the main story, but you can keep playing it, go back to it. And I'm not sure if there's like a free play sort of area where you can just kind of, I would be surprised if there's not, but even so, like, you can play these levels and retry them and just use them as like an arena, and you can just do them over and over again. And so yeah, Rollerdrome, it's a huge recommend from me. I'm gonna just say that at the end of all these, I guess, to kind of like close it out as I get to the end of the footage of them. But yeah, had a ton of fun with it, and I really do hope I can get better at it so I can go back to it and finally finish through those last few levels that I couldn't get through. But moving on from there, we are now into another big one from this year, A Plague Tale Requiem. So yeah, this one, I cannot explain just how much that first game means to me. I went into that game in a different way. It was a video essay type of video. It was like, I talked more about what the characters meant to me, what that story meant to me, rather than like the game itself. And I would love to do another video, and I would love to do another video like that for this one, but I have to beat it first, and I have not beaten it yet. That's why it's in this video. But this game is already doing things to me that first game did. It just connects with me so much. I love Hugo and what's the girl's name? I'm bad with names. I know if the game meant that much to me, I'd remember her name. But yeah, it's just, look at the world in this is beautiful. It has, the character work in this is great. Like, there's some games, like this has what I wish the Horizon games had. Just like, I care about these characters so much, and it just happens so naturally. Like, they don't have to do all that much. What they set up in that first game was perfect, and now in this second one, they can do whatever they want because I'm invested. I care about them. I want to see what happens to them, and now they can just take me on this journey, take me on this adventure. It's very like serious. This game has a lot to say, and it tugs at the heartstrings. Like, you feel the relationships, the struggles between them, between everybody, and amidst this just like gorgeous landscape, it seems to only affect you even more. That's kind of the thing that games do. That's what movies do when they're they're telling you a great story, and it just so happens to be in a really pretty place. It just only affects you that much more. They know what they're doing in this. I think so far, like I can't know for sure. I think that so far this game, I'm enjoying it more than the first one, which is saying a lot because I really, really love that first one a ton. And I cannot wait. Like out of all the games, this is the one where I'm just like, I need to get back to it. I need to get back to it. I need to finish this game. I will almost definitely make its own video for it. I know it'll be a little late by then, but I don't think that's a big deal. I made my video for the first game like a lot later after it came out. It's just, you got to play it on your own time. I didn't want to rush it. And when the time is right, when I finally am able to jump back into this, I know I'm going to be just right back into it. It brings you into the world. That's another one of those things, one of those phrases I'm going to say a lot. But this is one of those games that just instantly, like once you press continue the story and you're in it, you're just, I'm in it. I'm in it. They have me hooked. I want to be in this world as long as I can. I want to play 10 of these games. I want to just see everything that they have to offer. I love them. I really do love them. I don't know how this is going to end. Maybe it's a very sad story. Maybe there are no more after this. I have no idea. I've avoided spoilers for any of these big games, luckily. And yeah, just watching this back, it'll bring tears to my eyes just thinking about these characters. And that says a lot. This will be at the top of my best of list. And I cannot recommend this one enough. This one, the first one, if you have not played them yet, they are incredible. So moving on from that one, it's a tough one to follow up, but it's not really like a competition here or anything. It's Marvel's Midnight Suns. This game, it was something I was looking forward to. It was, but not the entire time. Like I heard about this one when it first came out, but I wasn't sure what it was. I know I had heard this is gonna be XCOM, but Marvel, and I enjoyed XCOM, but not that much. But what got me was the card game element to it, and I'm into Marvel characters. I'm into the whole Marvel, just Marvel. I'm into the comic books and the movies, of course, the TV shows. I'm into all of it, so I am interested in these characters. But the card game part of it, I was really interested in because card games kind of took over my life this year. I played a lot of card games, all kinds of different types of card games, like. There's some really when I grew up, Yu-Gi-Oh was a big part of my life, and then that's transitioned into like Teamfight Tactics has a bit of a card game element to it, but it's also big time auto battler, but the auto battlers like Super Auto Pets has a card game element to it, and so this one has more of like a bigger, like this is truly a card game part of the aspect of the game. And sorry, there was some gameplay there where I wasn't doing anything, but you have actual cards here. As you can see, you got to pick them, and you choose your targets, and it's just that controls the entire combat here. And you got to learn, there's something it's not like the easiest thing to just jump into and exactly what you're going to do, and you got to learn how to play. You got to learn the best strategies here. There's some different kinds of things than you might expect. It's not all just card games. Or it's not just all like card aspect. You can do like a certain move here where they are on like the map. You can push them back into something. Placement, movement, and all that. That's where like the XCOM stuff comes in. And you got to move to specific areas and that kind of thing. And that's all really cool. It's like a lot of these extra dynamics to make it just more interesting than if it was just like a Marvel card game. You have true strategic gameplay. On different levels, on the card game level, on the movement level, on the placement of where you are on the map level, just all that combined into one. And then you have I think what's really cool about this game is having your own character that you're kind of making or controlling, and kind of becoming a part of this team and talking to the characters with the dialogue scenes in between the combat. A lot of it is just a ton of fun. I don't know. I haven't heard too much about this game and like how much people are enjoying it. If it's really become like a game of 2022 that lived up to expectations and all that stuff, because it's hard to do that nowadays. But for me, this is exactly what I was hoping for. I haven't gotten super far into it, but I want to keep playing. I want to keep getting better at it. I feel like I'm really bad right now, and there's just that thing there in certain games where like you can be really bad and be frustrated and be like, all right, this isn't for me, I'm moving on. And then there's those kinds of games where you're like, all right, I'm not good at this, but I want to be. Teach me. I need to learn. I need to find out how to be better. And this is one of those. I am very, very interested in more of the cards, finding out how much more powerful they can get. More characters if you start discovering them. All of it in general. I'm having a great time with it. I don't know. This is another one of those specific niche type of games. You'll have to know if this is something for you or not. But if it is, this is something that could be very, very different and kind of a breath of fresh air. So I do recommend that one as well. Okay, so as I'm noticing, this is the Callisto Protocol footage here. That means we have reached a new 5-minute break of not talking about the games. Those 5 games flew by for me. I'm doing this all just back to back to back. And it felt like that wasn't even 5 games yet. But yeah, okay, we can take a small break here and just kind of not really rest, but not talk about the games in particular. I did like the Callisto Protocol and made its own video for it. And here's just a little bit of the footage that I can use here that isn't a game I'll be talking about in this video. Instead, let's get into the big part of what this video is really about. The big reason for this year of change for me, this year that will always be a year I look back to as the year that changed everything. Look, a lot of you probably don't know too much about me. I've never really talked that much about me on here. Some of you that are watching this maybe know who I am in a little bit more of just in a more personal way because of, who knows, Discord, Twitch, or whatever, know me in real life. Who knows? I went through a big change this year, and some people, it's scary to talk about it on this kind of platform. But let's just get it out of the way before it becomes like too weird, too awkward. Probably is already that a little bit. But yeah, I transitioned this year medically, socially, changed my name, did a lot of things. It's not like just from one day to the next. Yeah, I transitioned and that's it. I'm still going through it. But I decided after 26 years of my life that my gender identity, what I was born as, wasn't who I really was. And it took me a long time to figure that out. I figured it out before this year, but finally this year was the year I decided to do something about it. And it changed my life, of course. That's gonna be a big change for anybody that does something like that. And I'm happier now than I've ever been, but it took a lot of work to get to where I'm at now, and I'm still at a place where I have to do so much more work going forward. And that naturally just kind of took me away from doing anything for the channel and doing anything for YouTube and the stuff that I love to do. I didn't really watch as many movies this year until the very end of the year. I didn't play that many games, and it kind of became my big focus because it had to be. It was something that meant so much of just like, I need to do something, figure this out. And I felt like I needed to talk about it in one of these videos, and what better video than this one, where I can kind of keep it hidden still in the best way I can in the middle, in the 53-minute mark of this possibly 3-hour video. So only people that are watching, actually watching, will hear this. I'm sure some of you might have skipped through, so that's not necessarily true, but still, yeah, this is just the most comfortable way for me to do that. And there were times that I tried to do something different on the channel to just kind of explain, I changed the branding of it. I tried to do some on-camera videos, and then that quickly I realized was a terrible idea, not comfortable with how I look, especially then. Barely getting back to that now. Still have a lot to do with that. But yeah, it's a big change. I'm male to female. I am transgender. And my name before, if you were on here, like my first ever name for this channel was Joey Anthology. Then that changed to, what did I change it after that? Was it just from there to In Dreamland? I'm not sure if there was something in between. But yeah, I changed my name to Ellie. That's how I go by now. I don't have the voice I want. I don't look how I want to look. It's still a big change, and you know, anybody hearing this is not gonna hear that's a girl, that's a female. That's not gonna happen. But I hope that by saying this, by finally getting it out there in a video like this, or in any of my videos, like just getting it out there at all, that I can finally start to change the way I approach my channel, approach these videos, approach my entire life, just in the way I want to be the person I've always wanted to be. I'll get into that even a little bit more, because I know this is coming into the end of this footage here. I'll get into that a little bit more in the next break we have. But yeah, that's a big reason of why this year was what it was, why I didn't do too much, and why it's been behind the scenes a very, very big year for me. It's been a year of change. And yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more later. But let's get back into the games for now, and hopefully you'll enjoy this next batch. Alright, so back into the games here. We're nearing the 1 hour mark, but we are going to get into The Devil in Me, the Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me. I believe that's the one. I believe that's the title. This game is a lot of fun. I know I was kind of harping on these games when I was talking about the Quarry, but this one, out of so far the 3 Dark Pictures games that have come out, this one is easily my favorite. This is actually, as of now, I might even like this more than the Quarry once I beat it, because I am connecting to these characters. It's something about this story that's also going on. I think they're are they making a movie? I'm not sure. I forget exactly what they're doing in this, but I like what's going on. I like the feel of it. I feel like it's kind of getting back to the Until Dawn, kind of, I don't know, the atmosphere. Something about it just really, really worked. And this is another one of those games. This one and Plague Tale Requiem, I'm just like, I need to get back to those games. I want to beat them already. And I loved them when I was playing them. And yeah, just watching this back, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to play this. I'm going to beat this game as soon as I can, because I had so much fun with it. And I would have gotten through it if there wasn't. I was trying to get through so many games at the end of the year to make this video. If not for that, I would have definitely just kept playing this. But I ran through this. Like, I was just, one day I was gonna play this for maybe an hour or so, and then just kept going and going and going. And yeah, so I wish I could say the same for the first 2. Man and Medan did not work for me. And was this the second? Oh, actually, this is the 4th one, right? Because they made Man of Medan and Little Hope and the one with Ashley Tisdale. What was it called? House of Ashes. That's how I always remember the name, because Ashley Tisdale House of Ashes makes that pretty easy. But yeah, those actually, okay, so I haven't played much of House of Ashes at all. I need to get back into that one, see if I will enjoy that one a little bit more. Those first 2 were just such a buzzkill, because I was looking forward to them. And they did not do anything for me at all. I played through all of Little Hope. But yeah, no, those were not great. But again, this one felt a little bit more back to roots, back to, I don't know exactly what they tried to do differently here, but it worked for me. I love the characters in this. I recommend it if any of you were like me and maybe didn't enjoy some of those Dark Pictures games and gave up on them. This one's fun. This one is really cool. And again, just like with the Quarry, you kind of know what to expect if you know these games. They're cinematic. You're gonna walk pretty slowly, and it's not in the most natural. It's not sort of like an Alien Isolation type of movement, although it's in third person, but it's just kind of you walk a little bit unbalanced, so to say. It kind of always feels that way. And to get the camera really looking where you want it to. It doesn't feel perfect, but it's not a huge problem. These games are still different, and they have a unique personality to them, and I like that a lot. And the ensemble and having a lot of characters around, it's also a little bit different. And I forget the actress's name who is the main, is it Jodie Whittaker? I could have that completely wrong, but I believe that's who it is. I know who it is. I just names get to me sometimes. And yeah, this one is, I don't know if it'll make my best of list, but it's one of those that the more time goes on, the more I'm like, love this game. Yeah, that is a fun game. I'm gonna remember this one from all the games of 2022. And the footage is over. All right, we're on to Pokemon. Let's get into Pokemon Violet. Is that what is it? That's just what it's called? Pokemon Violet? Isn't it called something else? Like Project Violet? No, that's not what it is, right? You know which one this is. I don't remember if there was something else. It might just be Pokemon Violet. So I'm gonna say Pokemon Violet. This is the game of 2022 that I played the most. I put in, I gotta say, at least 25-30 hours, so I am a liar. I played other games more than that, but not many. This is one of the games that I played the most. This is the game I played the most on Switch for sure, and in general, definitely put a lot of time into this. Way more time than I would have expected. Oh my god, that scared me. The fireworks are really going off. But yeah, it's Pokemon. If you've played Pokemon before in any variety, I guess Arceus was a little bit different, but it's Pokemon. You know what to expect from this one. A lot of the discussion with Pokemon this year with Scarlet and Violet was because of the performance, because it did not look great, did not play great, and that is a real shame because this game, aside from that, really is a lot of fun. I think even with those problems, if you hear anybody that's been playing these games, they don't care. I mean, maybe they do care, but like it's not going to stop them from playing it. You're still going to play this if you're a Pokemon fan. We should demand better though, like going forward. You hope that they will do something to improve their performance, improve what's going on, but the sales, they do what they do. Like Pokemon makes money and it always will. And so you do question if they will make any changes because they don't have to, unfortunately. It'd have to take like the craziest boycott in the world. And I just don't see that ever happening with Pokemon. People are going to play no matter what, but they should still, hopefully they hear the feedback, and maybe part of it is because the Switch doesn't have the hardware for what they want to do. Who knows what it is, but we, as Pokemon fans, I'm not as big a Pokemon fan as others. Like some other people know all of the Pokemon, so I will not speak for all of you out there. I am just gonna speak from someone that does like the games a lot. I grew up playing a lot of Pokemon Stadium, so those are like my Pokemon. When I think of Pokemon games, to me, Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2, like those are the ones for me. But I'm becoming a bigger fan of them after Shining Pearl came out, and now this one. And I hope for this franchise to only get better and better. It has so much potential. It makes so much money. It's such a big franchise. People care about it. Like you want it to just be the best that it can be, and that's not where it's at right now. And that's sad. But I still, in terms of just the game itself, I had a blast with this one. I will go back to it. It almost feels forced, like I'm forced to go back to it just because I know so many people that play it, but that's not a big problem. Like it's always fun when other people are playing the same game you're playing, and you can even play with people in this game pretty easily. It has a nice multiplayer feature, and yeah, there's just they did a lot right here, and just gotta hope going forward they'll do even more, and we'll get the Pokemon game that we all feel we deserve and feel like we've all kind of been wishing for and hoping for, and I have hope for it going forward. Okay, so now we are into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I really hope my voice can make it through all this. An hour in, I can feel it. It's going just a little bit. We're going to keep marching forward, though, powering through. This game is a ton of fun. I kind of knew what to expect with this one. I heard the great reviews when it was coming out, just that it was a classic arcade style, just old school beat 'em up, and that's the kind of the games that I remember playing back in the day. The old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games I played on the original Xbox. This is totally right up that alley. This is kind of the same feel. It looks so nice though. The combat feels so good. I'm not playing with one of the actual Ninja Turtles here. April O'Neil's one of them, right? She's part of the crew. She's cool. And yeah, this fight in particular at the start of the game I thought was just really fun, because you're not just like running on the ground beating people up. It was cool to be on this skateboard, hoverboard thing, whatever, motor skateboard. Just because it's a little bit different. It's nice to like do this stuff in seeing all the speed of it, and just kind of feeling like you're doing something a little bit different than just walking around beating people up. It has a nice feel to it, and it looks cool. It looks nice visually, so I wanted to showcase that. But this game, you know what you're getting when you're getting into this. It's a beat 'em up Ninja Turtles game. It's got multiplayer if you want to play with friends, and you can be all the great characters we know and love, of course. And there's not really too much to say. I mean, this game is fun, and if you can't really be bad at these games. Like, you can just button mash. But I will say this. It's not the easiest game in the world either. This isn't just like, made for toddlers. Like, you will die if you're not truly trying just at least a little bit. You got to put in some effort, because you will die here, and it'll get frustrating if you're not really putting in some effort at least to get through some of these waves of enemies, because there's a lot of them. They keep coming. They're always there. Some of these power-ups, like the special powers though, it's a ton of fun to do. It's like kind of exactly what you want from a Ninja Turtles game. I remember seeing that there was like the Cowabunga collection out. I'm not exactly sure what that one is. It was like maybe a collection of some of the older games. I'm not sure. I gotta look into that. But as far as 2022 games, this one had to be one that I talked about. This is one that I will go back to if I don't really know anyone that has this right now, but I think this is on Game Pass actually. That's where I played it. And so just, if there's ever anybody that like happens to be playing this, wants to play it, this will be a super fun one to just jump into. Or if you have friends that are over, like, why not just jump into this, play it for an hour or two, have some pizza? It'd be a great time. It'd be a great weekend. And I do remember I paused that for just a second, but I get back right back into it. Yeah, but there's not like that much more to say about this. Pause it again. If you like the Ninja Turtles, I think this is a must. If you don't like the Ninja Turtles, why not give it a shot? Maybe you still enjoy this kind of game. But it's still kind of niche in a way where, do you like this sort of retro old school beat 'em ups? If not, okay, maybe it won't be for you. That's fine. But this is gonna have like a huge fan base for sure. And again, it has like just great reviews that have come out for it since it came out, and I understand why completely. This is one that won't really get boring, and it's a blast from the minute you start playing. It's just instantly fun, and what else could you really ask for? So now we are into Pentiment, and this one I'm really excited to talk about for these 4 minutes here. Yeah, this one is so unique. This one got a lot of discussion when it first came out, and I'm surprised it hasn't gotten even more discussion, because this one is super unique, and it's very dialogue heavy. So maybe it's not like one anybody can just kind of jump into, but it is so cool. You get to find out this huge conspiracy that's going on, sort of murder mystery type of stuff, some real classical dialogue here. Takes place like in the 1500s, I believe, and you just kind of go through this beautiful artwork. It all kind of feels hand drawn. It might actually be hand drawn, I'm not sure, but you just look at this and it's super nice to look at. It has great coloring, great lighting, and even with the dialogue where they kind of, you see them, you hear the sound design of them like kind of writing with a quill, and you see them kind of like inking it out with a quill type of thing, and you can choose where you want to go with this story, choose what you want to say. There's so much to love here. And again, it's sort of just like this breath of fresh air when you're playing a lot of games from this year that might be different than this, and might be a little bit more combat heavy, and then you jump into something where it's just purely character driven, narrative driven, so much dialogue, and you can kind of just sit back and read it like a book, but a sort of choose your own adventure type of story, type of book. But because of the time setting, because of what's going on here, it is a different experience, and it gives you just something that you might not get all the time. And I just loved it because you can tell how much love went into this, how much time went into this, in every single piece of dialogue, every single piece of the artwork. Just every time you walk through a building, you can just take in all of that, and you can just feel love. You just feel it from like screaming out at you. And you're also, once again, you're taken into the world instantly when you start this up. Here in just a second, I think it's gonna jump into like one of the books. Here we are. And you go into this book, and just like you can just again feel like all of this was made with so much care. And when you can feel that in anything, when you're watching a movie, playing a game, and you're just like, okay, the people that made this probably were working on this for years and years and years, and just every single pixel was meticulously thought of and worked on to be perfect. How can you not enjoy that? Obviously, if it's not interesting at the very base of it, the very core of it, then it would kind of be unfortunate. But luckily, that's not the case here. This has great characters, has so many characters, and it tells like the story of this entire village, but it feels so grand. It feels like it's telling this massive story here, but it's still very small, and it's very focused on just like this main character that we're controlling and walking around and meeting all these people as. And you just want to learn more. You just want to keep continuing on. You want to find out like the bigger story going on, the bigger themes. And yeah, I can play this more and more and more. Like I want to go back to it because I haven't beat it yet. And so this is a game that maybe after a little bit you'll get a little tired reading, so it's not one you can maybe play for 12 hours. But it is so fun, and I will definitely be getting into that and beating it one of these days, because it's great. It's really great. It's just really great. Okay, so now into quite the interesting one here. This is Marvel Snap. This is a mobile game that also has a Steam version, so I was able to get some footage for this from Steam, but I played this, the majority of it, I played it on my phone. One of the key aspects to this, as you saw there right at the start, this game has like a gambling part of it. There's gambling, but I mean, not really. So I'll get into that a little bit more. This is a card game, as you can see. You have your Marvel heroes. They all have different powers. You have 3 different locations that you want to win 2 of them. If you win 2 out of 3 of them after the 6 turns, then you win the game. But up top, as you saw my opponent at the start of this, they snapped. And that took the winnings from this from 2 to 4. But because I also snapped, by the end of this, whoever wins is going to get 8 Cosmic Cubes. Is that what they are? Maybe that's from another game. I'm getting confused. I don't know. You win 8 of those things. and you use those as like your currency. Or actually, no, it uses it to level you up. But by leveling you up, you get points for like your season pass, and you get points in this thing of where you can get mystery cards. It's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different layers to this game, where you're playing this base game. You're trying to build the best deck possible, which is of course where all the fun comes from. I had a blast playing this. I put in so much time. I was doing really well in it, and I felt like I just wanted to keep going. You can make different kinds of decks. There's decks that are focused on drawing cards. There's decks that are focused on discarding cards. There's decks on destroying cards. There's all kinds of different decks here. Decks that are focused on when you flip and you on reveal, they have an effect. And yeah, it's just everything you expect from like the traditional type of a card game, like more Yu-Gi-Oh, more Magic the Gathering, but very simple to understand with this one. And with Marvel characters, it's like a very just beginner friendly, just jump into it and and go. You play against people sort of at your own rank, and so you're never kind of like super outclassed. At least I never felt that way. And it is really fun to win, get your rewards, get new cards, and slowly build out your deck from the stuff that you unlock. That's all RNG based, so you can't really work towards any particular cards, but still, that's what keeps you coming back. You're always just kind of wanting one more thing. You're also working on upgrading your cards, so it doesn't change anything about how they work, but it changes the look of them. It's like getting a new costume in a game. It just kind of feels nice. Cosmetics are big in games and in microtransactions. I can understand why. I try not to do that all that much, but I get it. It's nice. Aesthetics are cool and they're important. They make you kind of just enjoy some games a little bit more sometimes, and that's fine. I get it. You don't have to buy anything in this game. I never put a single cent into this, and I've had an amazing time. I feel like I've gotten just as good at cards as the people I was playing, because you can't really pay to win in this, I don't think. Maybe there's a sort of way you can, but I don't know if that's possible in the sense that you can in like some games. So I did stop playing it after a while. Just kind of, I don't really play games on my phone all that much. It was just happened to be the right time when I started playing it. But yeah, this was so much fun. I had to include it. This was a game from this year that like stands out, and one that I put a lot of time into, a lot of hours into. And when I think back to the games of the year, this is definitely going to be one of those. Just like, yep, I played a lot of Marvel Snap, and I don't mind it. I'm not I'm not ashamed of that at all. So we got through another batch of 5 games here. It's flying by. Those first 5 games took like forever, and the last 5 batches kind of flew by. So I have some footage here of Scorn, which I was gonna make a video for at one point. Then I was gonna talk about it in this game or in this video, but I just don't really have much to say about it. It's fine, but yeah, it's just whatever. It didn't really stand out to me, so I wanted to include some footage here just to say like, hey, I played this, but I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I am definitely losing my voice slowly as this video goes on, but I think I'll be able to make it. I don't know if it'll sound too much different when I do the audio processing after this anyway. I'll just have to talk a little bit louder because the mic kind of picks up on that, but it doesn't make it sound louder, if that makes any sense. I'll just I'm gonna keep powering through. I'm gonna have some water here, but yeah, let's get back to what I was talking about before. Kind of a serious, heavy topic, one that's there's a lot of opinions on it out there, and yeah, I guess it just comes with the territory. It's not the best, it's not great, but this is my life. This is something that it's a huge decision I've made, and it's something I will be living with for the rest of my life, and I'm more than happy to, because I wasn't happy before. I really was not happy before. Didn't really ever have an explanation why. There was always kind of this lingering feeling in the background, and to finally get the answer for what that was, and the fact that I kind of got there on my own. Like, everybody has their own different story. I'm not going to get into all that here. I'm just talking about it in the basics of it, being kind of vague with it. But yeah, I got to it on my own. I just had a lot of thoughts, for many years, and in the past few years, more than ever. That's when I really stopped to really like sit down and just think about it. And I came up with this, like, not idea. I came to this conclusion of what I needed to do. And then I reached out to people to help me out with that. And, that I am so thankful for that. I'm thankful for the people that I did reach out to, and for the support I've gotten since then. It's been amazing, and it's only proven that I am on the right path. And I was confident of that already, but it's nice to know that this has led to so many amazing people in my life, and that maybe I wouldn't have known or gotten to know otherwise. And that only makes me even more hopeful for the future and where things will go. And again, that's why I felt like I just needed to talk about it here. I don't know how fast or slow my voice will change over time. I hope it will be, noticeable. I hope that if that was gonna happen, I had to explain somehow, some way, because then I think people would understand what was going on. But still, it'd be nice to have to actually have the reasoning be out there for people to know about. And yeah, so I really do feel like this is the time to do it. There's so much more I can get into about it. Of course, this is just the very, very bare minimum, but I still feel like from this year, from 2022, that was my year. That's what happened this year. Like, there were great games I played. There were a lot of movies I watched, but 2022 was about finally becoming who I am. And it's been great. I am so happy that I've finally am getting to a place that I want to be. I was unhappy for the longest time without really knowing that I was. I mean, I did, but I didn't want to admit it. And then just kind of realizing that and realizing everything, just really finally understanding, having clarity, being able to see for the first time. It almost felt like seeing color for the first time. It's just all those things that you kind of hear about, you don't really believe until you experience it for yourself. And I cannot say much more than that. It was definitely a year of change in the best way possible. I hope some of you, you'll understand that, and maybe we can even talk about it in the comments if you want to. Everybody has their own different things they're dealing with, but at the core of it, I think a lot of us are the same. We all just want happiness. We want to be happy with ourselves. We want to be our best selves for other people. We just kind of want to live our lives. That's all I've ever wanted. And now I feel like I'm finally being able to do that. I'm finally on my way to do that. And that's amazing, because I spent a lot of my life with no direction and not knowing a lot of things, not knowing why some things didn't make sense and why it seemed to come so easy for other people, and I didn't know what to do about that. And I'm finally understanding things. I'm finally feeling like I'm on a path where I can find true happiness for the first time, and maybe actually even get to spend that time with other people and be myself with other people. I never was able to do that before, and I hope I can be myself with you going forward. It's not like I was a lie. It's not like I've been fake this entire time up until now, but I definitely haven't been my full 100% authentic self. That's for sure. I've been putting on somewhat of an act. I still am doing that here in a way, because I just feel like I have to. It's hard not to. Yeah, I did it for so long that it became a permanent mask, or at least I thought so. And finally taking it off, it's not super easy. But yeah, I'm doing my best. Again, I hope I hope that you understand that, again, we're all kind of just doing our best. I think that's the thing between everybody. Everybody's kind of just doing their best, and this is the next step for me to keep trying to do that. And yeah, I'm happy I'm finally talking about it. I don't know how this is going to come across. I don't know if I'm explaining it and saying everything I want to, but I'm trying my absolute best that I can, and that's all I can really do. So I think there's still one more break here where I can talk about it a little bit more. I think that's the most of it, though. I won't really get into it more than that. But yeah, it's nice to finally get to meet all of you and talk to all of you as me for the first time. Nothing's gonna really change. We'll get into that more in the next break. My voice is really going on me. But let's get into the next 5 games. I think there's still 5-10 games left. So this isn't over yet. There's still some to go. So yeah, let's get back to the gaming. I'll get back to some more of what's been going on and a little bit of a look into the future in the next break. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and I hope you're still enjoying this. Hope you're all having a great day out there. And let's get back to the games. So up next, we have As Dusk Falls. Now we're into another one that's pretty interesting, a little bit different again. If you just look at the visuals here, the art style here, the sort of weird, like, it's not stop motion, but it's got a very, very unique style of how they show the characters moving, and you know, they kind of, it has a little bit of that, like, they're drawn in one style or one way, and then it's clear that it's not a natural movement. It goes from one, like, shot to the next shot. I really don't know the word to describe that. It's just like you see it and obviously you know that's different. Yeah, I haven't never really seen this kind of thing before, or maybe I have and I just don't remember it. But yeah, does it work all the time? I can't say for sure. I think I love the idea of it. I love the way that they did. I think it does actually work just in terms of the visuals. I think that works really, really well. The story itself, the characters, the dialogue, that doesn't always work for me. It's like a little cheesy. They really go over the top here, and it's not like the most interesting story in the world. I think they could have passed on not having the most interesting characters, because there's so many characters. They're like, okay, I don't care about any of them in particular, but I'm just kind of curious where this is going. But they kind of didn't really get me there either. I didn't really connect to the overall story of this. It just kind of left me a bit wanting more, a little bit just, I don't really want to keep playing this all that much. I'd rather just kind of watch somebody else play this, because, you know, it's a little boring. I mean, that's always the death sentence of any game. That's any like description of anything. You do not want to use the word boring, and it does have a little bit of that, sadly. But I still think this one is worthy of discussion because it is so different. It is something that, like, again, I've never really seen before, and it has very heavy story plot points. That's the thing that really stands out. It's like, okay, they're trying here. They really are going for it all. They take some risks they really do take some risks within the storyline with the character to character, like, dialogue. And it's another one of those choose your own adventure types. So you can, like, choose, I guess, for it to be a bit more daring, a bit more bold. But at the same time, I still think that the fact that they even give you some of those options is really cool. It's like, wow, you know, these characters can die if you do the wrong thing. And maybe it's the character you don't want to die. It's not like just a side character. It's like one of the main characters. If I do something wrong here, they're gone. And it's like, okay, wow, that mattered. And I wasn't expecting that for some reason, because I just expected this to be safe with whatever they were trying here. And it's nice when some games are not safe. It's nice when a lot of things aren't safe. It's like, you know, maybe this didn't work, but one of the best things I can say about most things is that they tried, and they did try here. I love that. I will always give props to anything if they, like, really do try. And because it never really felt like they were just, you know, we have this cool art style, we have something that's kind of unique here, we don't really have to focus on the story too much. It did feel like, okay, you know what, we're gonna go for everything, all our big concepts and ideas here, let's just go for all of them. And again, gotta give them credit for that. It's not one I might recommend, but I think it has something there. It's very, very unique. And but yeah, I do think it's one that's like, that's one I'll remember from this year. So moving on to the next one, we have Trek to Yomi. This is another one that, like, when you look at the footage itself, when you just look at the game itself, it's like, okay, wow, look at it's all black and white, but it's stunning. It has a very, very just pleasant look to it. The nice breeze here with the rain, the actual just, like, sound design to this game, along with the visuals, along with the combat here. So it's just like everything feels really good, and that's, like, very underrated, I think, in games. If it's a weird thing to say, because, like, of course that those things matter, but sometimes they really, really matter. Like in a platformer, in something, so I guess a side scroller too. like if they just feel really good, it's gonna make the whole experience like way better. And you know, I guess that's not an underrated thing, but this game in particular, because it's so kind of small and I don't think a lot of people talked about it, it's surprising when you jump into something like this and like, wait a second, this is polished in such a way that I think that this would be like in a much bigger game. And that's nice. That's always like a pleasant surprise. This game is not very easy. I was dying a lot in this. I don't think that's going to be the case for everybody. It's a lot of parrying, just like parry, kill, parry, kill. I've never been good at parrying, but I was more drawn into this just from the visuals alone. I was drawn into this from like the story that was going on too. And the black and white really just gives it all so much more power. I think sometimes it's not super necessary, but in this one, definitely. You know, of course, it's going to have some, like, it's reminiscent a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima because of the setting of it, because of the black and white. Like, that game wasn't in black and white, but it had that option, and I think a lot of people remember that. But this is its own thing. It's so much different than that. This is its own game. I think it's one that I would absolutely recommend because it's just a lot of fun, and you know, it's not as big of a game, of course. This is it's much smaller in scale. It's much smaller in length. This is not a very long game either. But it's not like an hour or 2 hours. I think this was like around 10 hours or so. I don't remember exactly. It could be shorter than that. But aside from everything, it's just fun to fight with swords. I think that's something that like really worked for Tsushima. It works here. Like, in any case, in any game like that, you have a sword, you want to kill people with it. It's fun to it is fun to do the parrying with it. And look at these shots. It's, you know, I haven't watched Seven Samurai or anything like that. You always have to assume that that's like where they get some of the inspiration for shots like this. But to see the movement in the rain and the wind, and like that's what really worked for Ghost of Tsushima. Like, it works here so well. It looks incredible. The visuals got me. The visuals are always going to get me if they're like really, really nice, especially in something like this. Like, this is super cinematic. Like, imagine seeing this in a movie. Like, it just looks incredible with the water coming right towards you. Like, it's just going to shoot out from out of the screen and fall into your lap. Like, it kind of feels like that. And like, you're just sitting in this boat type of thing. It's weird, right? Like, there's no reason for it, but yet it's just like, you know, let's just put it from the perspective of somebody that just happens to be on a boat right here. And I love that. And I really did enjoy this game a lot. I didn't beat the whole thing. Maybe if I had, I would have made a video about it. But yeah, Trek to Yomi, super cool game. Definitely recommend it. And now we're into the next one with Immortality. So this game, let's just get it out of the way. This game has a lot of nudity. It's a very adult game. And even this scene is kind of, it's a little borderline, I'll say, with what they're about to talk about. But it's still out of other scenes, I think it's just like this showcased, like this is actually more than the typical FMV game. Like, if you see this scene, I think you can tell that, wait, this acting is above FMV level acting. And I know that's not fair. Like, you know, FMV actors, like, I'm not going to say they're just phoning it in. I think they're really trying. But there's something about the style to this game, to these actors, to this video, like the videos in this, because they're kind of shooting like video or shooting movies. And it feels like those are actually like movies that they made in like the 70s, and they have a classic feel, and the actors feel like they're from that time. They all feel like they are real. Like, it feels like they're from that era, and we just happen to find these actual lost tapes that they were talking about in the start of this game, and they're just like, yeah, I think we found actual lost tapes here. Like, they made a game out of it. That's interesting. But then this is the really cool thing of this game. So the shots stop, and then you can like zoom into somebody's face in the clip, click on it, and it takes you into a brand new clip. Or you can fast forward and kind of distort the noise. If it's off, you can like change that. You can go frame by frame, and sometimes the entire thing will change. It's hard to explain. This is such an interesting game. I want to like get through all of it. It's a confusing game though, or it's a confusing movie. It's not really a game, right? It's always kind of this discussion of like, are these games, are these movies? It's interactive. That's all that really matters. But there's so much here. I love this one so much. This one deserves its own video as well. It's just so cool that you can like pause right here, probably go into any of these faces that are on screen. It'll take you to another brand new clip of them in something else. And the fact that it's just super interactive, it's super unique. The style of it works so well. The story is like, of all these different clips, because they're making movies, it's like it's all a puzzle you're putting together, but of different things. There's different layers. Like you're putting together the puzzles of the actual movies themselves. You're putting together the mystery of this actress, of like these lost tapes of behind the scenes of their actual, like the actual humans, not like the actual actors themselves, not them in the movies, not their characters. And it's just a whole thing. Like it's look at that. I just can't say enough about this. I don't know why. It's kind of like, it feels groundbreaking to me. I don't know if it actually is. Just something about it. It's just like, wow, that is a different level of, a different concept to the whole FMV thing. It's just a whole different way of storytelling. And I totally want to see where they can go with this in the future. Like, I feel like there's so much here that like they can go forward with. And I don't know if they've made another game. I don't know if they've made a game before this or an interactive like movie before this. I don't know if they're going to do one after this, but this was at the Game Awards too, and I saw it was now nominated for like a bunch of stuff. This is super, super cool, super unique. I recommend it to everybody. Like not even if you're just into FMVs, but again, it is rated R. There is some nudity in there. There's some very, very adult stuff. So you have to know that going into it. But aside from that, super unique, super cool, and I had to talk about it. And now next up, we have Disney's Dreamlight Valley. This one, again, another one where I did not expect to talk about this one. I did not expect to enjoy this one as much as I did. This is like a sort of simulation management style farming thing, like Animal Crossing with, you know, Stardew, all the games that you know, all the games that you love. I forget exactly what those games are called. Are they like life sim games? I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, you just kind of run around here and clean up the ground and plant some plants and get fruit and make friends with Disney characters, and you can change your outfit and you can have your little house and decorate the house, and it's just kind of super fun and relaxing and stress relieving. And that's exactly what I was kind of wanting from a game of any kind. And the fact that they gave us, like, that they made this game, I'm a big Disney fan, like getting all the Disney characters and the style of this, the actual just like Disney part of it adds a lot to this. It really like, it goes straight for your child, your heart of a child, the childhood nostalgia, just wanting to like live inside a Disney park, wanting to live inside any of the Disney worlds. It just kind of puts you into this sort of world of this land where they all exist, where all these characters exist. And you can just kind of go in there and have your own little life, and it's kind of amazing and it's super fun. And this is definitely a game I could just kind of always want to play whenever I'm just kind of having a rough day, kind of feeling stressed. Like, let me play some Dreamlight Valley. In the same way that kind of Animal Crossing did that in 2020, this kind of has that same feel for me now in 2022, and I am really, really enjoying it. You know, the world is a little bland in a way. It doesn't offer too much. It's kind of just the same stuff. It's just not like super, super expansive and interesting. I mean, even Animal Crossing, like, it's a very small island. You don't have to do too much. They don't do too much here. It's just kind of perfectly simple and fun and magical. It feels like this is what any kid's dream would be, to have like in a Disney game. Like I would have loved this when I was a kid for sure. Maybe not though. Maybe I wouldn't have appreciated it because it's just kind of weird. When I was growing up, I don't know if I appreciated these kinds of games that much. Life sim games and all that. Like I never really played, what was it? The Harvest Moon. And I'm sure there's another one. Like I've never even really gotten to Stardew Valley too much. But this one, I just kind of like it. I like the third person aspect to it. Seeing it from like this kind of perspective is different to me than Animal Crossing and Stardew. Like those are very, they have their own style to it, of course. But I do like this very just a little bit more personal. The 3D aspect. It has a lot of like, it works on all the different levels of kind of games that I like. And again, like I said, the biggest thing to this is that it's super relaxing. It's just a very simple and fun time. It makes me happy when I play it. Brings a smile to my face and to my heart. And just like Disney always does. And can't really say much more than that. Really did enjoy that game this year. And now going into the next one, High on Life. This made a lot of waves when it came out, and it came out pretty late in the year, so I feel like it's still kind of relevant, but it's kind of dropping down a little bit. Maybe not as many people talking about it now. But yeah, this game was just super fun to play. I haven't even gotten anywhere close to beating it yet, but I still wanted to talk about it here at the end of this video because it instantly kind of grabbed me. I'm like, this is gonna be dumb. I don't know if this kind of game is for me. And just, I was proven wrong right away. I was just like, okay, yeah, I get this. This is fun. This is funny. Let's see where this takes us. Let's go on this adventure. It's really strange, and it's like perfectly strange. It's kind of like exactly what you want when you hear about, if you like see a trailer for this, it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. Kind of a weird, space adventure, and you're killing all these weird creatures. You have a gun that talks to you, and it's like a rated R big Nickelodeon adventure, like a Jimmy Neutron movie, or just anything like that. I think that's where it kind of like goes to that kind of nostalgia feel for me when I see all this kind of stuff. It takes me back to those kinds of shows, movies, and all that. And I think I don't know if I'll end up playing this game all the way to the end. I don't know if I'll end up beating this because it's just, it's gonna have like a lifespan for me. There's gonna be a point when I just kind of like, okay, I've played this game as much as I can, and I get it, and I'm sure the ending would be interesting, but I have to call it quits here. There's kind of only so much of this kind of game I can take in a way, but still, for the first couple hours, if I kind of just play it a little bit at a time here and there, it'll just kind of keep its fun factor, and that's really cool. That's like really all you can ask for. All right, now you're gonna definitely hear the fireworks in the background, I think. But yeah, High on Life was just, I saw some friends playing it, and I'm like, I'll check that out too. I need something to play right now, and out of all the games from the year, this is another one from like all of them where I'm just kind of like, yeah, this one deserves to be talked about. It stands out from just being a little bit unique. Again, that's like the word that always is going to be used when you're talking about games that like stand out from the year. But it just kind of felt like they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They did it, and that's it. That's just, all right. This is kind of the weird, edgy kind of adult but for kids type of game, and it's like, yeah, totally cool. Let's have fun like it's the early 2000s, and just don't even think about like all this, like, am I having a good time? Yes, that's all that matters. Okay. Because sometimes maybe the jokes just like won't land. Maybe it seems like a little bit too much. Like, is this going a little too far? Are we trying a little too hard here? It's like, I don't know. It's like a 10-15 hour game or something. Like, imagine the amount of jokes and writing and stuff you have to put into that. It's not all gonna land. It's not gonna be funny the entire time. But as long as it's just, you know, it hits here and there and it looks cool. Look, I mean, the visuals of this game are really fun. And yeah, any game that's like really colorful like this, it gets a thumbs up from me. I think that's always a fun time. And yeah, so that was one that I thought deserved to be talked about. And it gets like a very barely recommend for me. I would rather it be like something you get on Game Pass or something. At least for me, that's what I played it on. And yeah, I probably wouldn't buy this one, but still, just had a really fun time with it. Okay, we've made it once again to another little 5-minute break here. I believe, so after this is the last batch of games, and then I'll have like the final conclusion wrap up, and then the talk about my best games of the year. I'll do like an actual ranked list, maybe top 10. But yeah, let's just kind of let's relax, lay down here. I've been talking for about an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes straight here. My voice is going. I'm not getting too tired. It's just like, I guess I just don't talk a lot. Like, this is one of the only reasons for me to talk ever. And so my voice is always just kind of like, hold the phone. What is going on here? Can you stop? Because we can only take so much. But with so little amount of games left, I think I can power through. But yeah, we can also just kind of rest a little bit after the heavy topics. I'll get back into it still. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit, just a little bit more here, but we can make it a bit more lighthearted. Like, yeah, so it's definitely a big change again, and something a lot of people have opinions on. I've gotten support from so many people, which is nice, and you know, there's been some people where they've had a tough time trying to understand it, I suppose. And again, it's like you want to say, okay, I get that too, and then a part of you is like, but this, you have to understand how much this means to me, like how much it was how much pain it was causing me before, and maybe you couldn't see that because I was hiding it so well. I was hiding it so well that I didn't even know myself. And that's gonna be something that's gonna be hard to see, right? Like, okay, were there signs there from the very beginning? I look back and I can say yes. Some people can look back and be like, I didn't see anything. And that makes you question things like, okay, why didn't they see that? And it's like, who knows? You know, there's so many different reasons of why it took me so long to realize it in the first place. I wasn't really, no one ever talked about these things to me. It was so hidden from me. It was something, maybe I had heard the word transgender before, but like, I'm sure the words I had heard before that were not that word. They were the more derogatory terms. They were the more, the horrific ways of representation that would be in movies. And that's why it felt like, well, that's not me. That's not, I don't know. That's not a possibility. Like, I want to be that. I want to be a girl, but not in the way that these people are doing it in the movies. And as I've said many times, like, movies are huge to me. And if that's the only place you're seeing that kind of representation, if that's the only place that you're seeing that happen, it's like, well, okay, I guess that's not what I'm going through. So just kind of push that back down. And then that's another 5-10 years that go by. And I just never had the words to say. I never had the thoughts of what to think. And that's kind of how I got to where I got to. And that's why it took as long as it did. And just kind of eventually come into a breaking point, I suppose. And there's so much to discuss with that, right? There's so much, like, I've been in therapy for a while now talking about it, and there's still so many questions I have, and it's still a topic that I'm like super like interested in, and I'll talk to anybody about it, and anybody that like doesn't really feel knowledgeable about it because it wasn't a big part of their lives. Like, I would love to talk to anybody about that. Or just like, I feel like it's important to just get the knowledge out there, to talk about it. Like, there's been people that have said, well, why make it public? Why not just go through this privately? And, you know, because I don't think you can. Like, why should anybody keep themselves private? Like, there's one thing to, like, yeah, have a private life, but, like, this is who I am. It's who I've always been, and I want to just, so there's not someone out there like me who just never knew and never knew what to say, never knew what they were thinking, what they were feeling, to maybe have the words to say, like, oh, wait, okay, yeah, that's maybe what I'm going through. And then they wouldn't have to wait 26 years of their life to finally do something about it. Maybe they can do it a little bit earlier, and then we can get into a whole other discussion and topic of why that might be hard to do in the future, with a lot of these terrible, terrible things happening in the world and laws trying to be passed to stop people from changing and making changes in their life. And for the people that do want to do it medically and even socially, like, you know, there's so many layers to this. I think it's something that has to be talked about. Maybe there's people that don't want to. Maybe I wouldn't want to in a world that's better than this one, but it's not. And I feel like there's a way that it can be better, and I think it has to be talked about for anything to change. And this isn't the point of this video, right? This is just like, when you talk about this in general, I think that's just part of the topic. That's part of the discussion that just kind of has to go there, because it's a problem, and it's still a big problem. It's only becoming worse and worse, especially if, like, some of the things that are happening in the world do end up happening. And that's why everybody needs a voice, and the people that are dealing with this need a voice to try and let people know that, hey, we need help here, and the kids of the future, the kids of now, need help more than ever, and we got to do whatever we can. And that's where it starts to get bigger than yourself, right? That's where it's like, okay, there's so much that's going on with me, and I'm trying to figure that out. But then you realize just how much is going on for others, how much is going on for people all over the world, people that aren't even born yet. And you start to realize just how much that matters to you. And just a year ago, had no idea that was even a thing. Didn't even know that existed. Like, it just, I relate it to sort of Narnia, stepping through the wardrobe and you're into this brand new world. And like Wizard of Oz, you step out and you see color again for the first time, and you're just realizing things you never noticed that were right in front of your face always. And maybe the Wizard of Oz analogy doesn't work too perfectly, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. And the wardrobe was, it was hidden for a lot of the time. How are you supposed to know there was a world in there? But still, like I'm saying, is there's so much to this. It's so much more than I can talk about in just a video and in 5-minute segments. I'm probably going longer than that in a few of these, just because it is so important to me. But it's also, that was the year for me. That was 2022 for me. And I'm still going to be, dealing with that and going through change, and a lot of my life has changed in the best way. But now getting that out in the open, even if nobody ever watched this, even if nobody ever heard me saying these things, being able to say them at all, being able to get this out there and have it be on this channel in some form, it makes me feel like, okay, I can finally be myself, and going forward, maybe not be so scared to do the things I've always wanted to talk about the things I've always wanted to. Because even if I didn't really know it at the time, I limited myself in so many ways in my life, because I just didn't feel like I was capable of doing so many things. And the feeling of being able to do anything now, is the most powerful feeling in the world. And obviously, you know, I can't do anything, but to even feel like that in any type of way, like any way like that at all is amazing. To go from the bottom, to go from where I was to where I am now, in just terms of like confidence, in terms of seeing a future for myself, seeing the things I can do, the things I'm capable of doing, compared before where I knew that there was something wrong and I wasn't going to be able to have the life I wanted. And now I can, you know. That's huge. That's something I can never ever give up. I will always be thankful for this year, for that. And again, I didn't realize all this just this year, but making those steps to make the change to get where I am now, to be as brave as I've been to do that. I could have waited more and more time. I could have pushed it off. I could have kept doing that. But I was finally not scared anymore. And I finally just, I chose to live. I chose to do this for myself. And that is amazing to me. And that's what this year was. That's what 2022 was. And yeah, I can't say more than that. I'm happy, and I'll never give up anything for that ever again. So yeah, let's get back to some games here. The last 5 games, and then we can wrap this up. I can have some ice cream and soothe my voice a little bit, and finish watching the college football playoffs that are happening right now. And yeah, again, thanks everybody if you're this far in the video, if you're still listening to this. I really do appreciate it. And I hope I hope again that you're happy in your own life. I'm going to keep saying that because it's so important. But let's get back into the games. So on to the next one, we have Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. This is a new Ghostbusters game that dropped this year that maybe you never heard of, that I didn't hear about it. I did mention it in another video, I believe. Maybe I mentioned it only in the community post. I had mentioned it at some point somewhere. But yeah, I just kind of wasn't like, this wasn't on my radar at the start of the year at all. I didn't really know about this one. But I jumped into this and I had a good time. It's definitely not like Ghostbusters, the video game. Ghostbusters from, I don't remember what year that came out. This is nothing like that. This is a multiplayer Ghostbusters game where you just kind of go around taking out ghosts together in like a 4-player multiplayer lobby. And it's strange, but it's fun. It has the Ghostbusters spirit in this game. It has the Ghostbusters heart. It even has the characters, some of the characters, not all of them. I believe Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson are in this one. And yeah, it's just like, it's a very cheesy, not super serious Ghostbusters game, and it's very simple, and it's just kind of like something to turn your brain off and play for a bit. And that's fine, you know, that's cool. I'm down for those kinds of games. And the fact that it's Ghostbusters definitely makes it, you know, a little bit more fun. If it was another game, maybe this would just be the most forgettable game in the world, but it is Ghostbusters. It has the Ghostbusters, you know, iconic items and weapons and ghosts, and when you look around the scenery, it's like, yeah, this is Ghostbusters. It feels very Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters games are always just pretty fun. There are some bad ones, but in terms of just like this and Ghostbusters, the video game, I don't think this is a bad game. It's not one that I'll recommend. Like, I don't think you should buy this one because it's not. I don't think you're gonna really enjoy. Or I'm always speaking for myself here. I'm saying you generally that. Like the multiplayer aspect to this, I don't know about that much. I wish this did have like some kind of a single player thing to it. I wish it had like a full single player story campaign. I think that's always a bit more fun, but maybe, you know, this was kind of lacking in the Ghostbusters gaming universe. They didn't really have like a multiplayer type of experience, and now they do. And they didn't like just, again, they didn't phone this in. It didn't feel like it still has a nice feel to everything. The gameplay feels nice. It's just kind of a solid all-around multiplayer game that's fun, and you can play it for a few hours, and it's totally just fine. And it's just not great, not terrible. It's just fine, and I think that's all right. So I felt like it was worth discussing. This is the very last game I put in here, so it's not one that I really wanted to talk about. But when I was going through it, I'm like, I gotta get to 25 games. This one I enjoyed, so why not? I'm gonna throw it in here. I enjoy Ghostbusters just in general. It's a really fun franchise, and I hope they keep making games going forward, because you know, I'd rather them make a new single player game, but just in terms of like what they can do, it's a little bit different than playing a game with guns and stuff to capture ghosts. It just has a different feel. You can't get that kind of experience all the time, and so yeah, maybe they can like find a new cool way of trying to find a game to do in the Ghostbusters universe. But for now, I think what they have here is pretty fun. So now going into the next one, we have the Entropy Centre. This one is a very different, very out of nowhere game again. But when I first started this game and I was doing this, so this is not a cutscene here. This is like you're walking down this pathway. I was just kind of blown away from this alone. I'm like, what are we getting into? Because this looks stunning. Visuals will capture, if they capture me like this right away, I'm just like, I'm in. And as we'll get into and just here in a second, as you see some actual gameplay from this is more of like a Portal puzzle type style game. And I was very intrigued with that, because to have a Portal style game that maybe has like some really nice visuals, and like just look at that scene, that's kind of great. It just looks so nice. It's like, okay, there's some serious potential here if you can have like the Portal gameplay and combine it with these kinds of visuals. But then sadly, when you do start the game and you start walking around, it's like, okay, I see what happened here. The idea was there, the concept was there, and I'm sure like the actual puzzles and that stuff is like what they wanted, what they were going for. But the performance of this, the feel of it, again, the word I have to use here is cheap. I hate using that word, but it just kind of feels like, you know, there's so many Steam games that come out every single day, and this one is maybe like above average, but it does feel like just one of the many games that have come out this year. It doesn't feel like something that stands out. It doesn't feel like something that will get better with updates. It just kind of feels like, yeah, this is a game. It happened. It has a cool idea, but they really did not. It does not have the execution of it was just not where it needed to be. It just needed so much more in the actual gameplay itself. It like Portal has that to like the most degree possible. To the nth degree is what I was going for. Portal, we all know Portal. It's an all-time game. They have the writing, they have the humor, but they have like the incredibly like cool gameplay, and something that we've never really been able to see on that style or on that scope, on that scale before. And like nothing, you know like it's okay, that's Portal, and there's been Portal wannabes, but they've just never been the same. And this unfortunately is just another one of those. It's just like, okay, this is a Portal wannabe, and it never gets past that. It never gets beyond that. But this does have like something a little bit different. So where in Portal, you know, just literally opening portals and doing that to go through the levels. This has an interesting thing of you like control time with this gun instead. So you're like, if there's a bunch of stuff on the floor from like a wall collapsing. You point the gun to the stuff on the floor, and it all goes back to where it was before. So you're controlling time. And admittedly, I haven't gotten super far into this game, so like here, all that stuff that's glowing, I haven't gotten the gun yet, and I think the footage ends before I can even show what happens. But you use the gun on that, and it all just clears up. And you know, you've seen that in games before. The like stuff that's on the floor, it all gets cleared up. It's sort of like even in the Lego games when you pick it all up and put it back into where it was. So yeah, I mean, there's something to be like, if it was like $1, $5 or less, maybe it might be worth looking into. But unfortunately, like the idea is a lot better than the actual game itself, which is sad, but it happens. And yeah, that's just kind of it for that game. And okay, now this is maybe the last heavy hitter here, because this one made a lot of waves this year. This one it's got to be Game of the Year contender for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people streaming this over the year. A lot of people love this game so much. It's Cult of the Lamb, and I am not huge into, you know, like the roguelike type games. I'm not never been great at them. This kind of like combat gameplay also, I just felt like this game was not going to be for me, so I didn't get it right away. I let it kind of let it simmer, and I was like, if I ever get the interest in it, and if I maybe watch some more people play and I kind of get drawn into it, I'll finally get it. And so I did finally get it, and everybody was right. All the people saying it was great were right, of course. Usually when so many people are saying one thing, it's usually for a reason. And in this game is just so much fun. This is one of the most fun games I've played in a long time. Everything about it feels perfect. The game itself looks amazing. Like the art style, again, I've said it in a lot of these games, but this one, it looks so nice. Playing it, just like killing these enemies, is so nice. It just feels good. This game feels good to play. The movement, the weapons, literally just harvesting berries, like the management stuff of it, the dialogue, like all of it just feels super nice, and it's fun to play. It's super fun to play. I will absolutely go back to this again and again until I beat it. Who knows how long that'll take, because these games you can put so many hours into them. But starting your own cult is a really cool thing. You can like rename them to people you want to name them to, and you can kind of customize them a little bit. And like I said, like here I'm about to just pick berries for a little bit, and it's just, even something like this is just fun to do. And I really did love this game so much. I understand why it was everybody's, or so many people's, like one of their favorite games of the year when they were talking about them. And I would recommend this to so many people. Like if you like sort of platformy games, which, you know, this isn't a platformer at all, but in terms of like the style of it, the art style of it, the combat of it, the roguelike style of it, of course, I feel like there's so many different elements to this, of like people that like different genres of games. There's like something from a lot of different genres placed into this, where you might enjoy one of them and you're interested in that, but then you're pulled into the other stuff because of how well they do it, how well it's like all blended together. So maybe you're not into roguelikes like I am, but wait a second. The combat itself is like fun. The management style of it is fun. And the roguelike just kind of becomes something that's just a part of the game, and you just kind of like, it's just you going on a run, right? Like you do in roguelikes, you go on a run, but it's not all just based on that. Like you don't, it's not like Returnal, you die and you start out at the beginning and you have to like, you just keep doing that and doing that over and over until you beat the game. It just happens to be like part of the game. And the management style stuff, like maybe you're not into that kind of thing, but because it's only a part of the game, you like realize, okay, since it's not like a huge part of the game and it's not the entire part of the game, I'm actually enjoying it just because I don't have to do it all the time. And yeah, it's just like a little, that kind of a perfect like blended experience. I thought when you add all these things together, it just makes for like a super well-rounded game that I had a ton of fun playing, and I will go back to it over and over again, like whenever I just have some free time. You know, there's always a lot of games to compete for your time, but that one will be at the top of the list. And so Cult of the Lamb, loved it. I want to keep playing. Wow, that is a lot of fireworks. I want to keep playing, and I'm sure I will beat it eventually. Could take me years, who knows, but I loved it. And I thank you to everybody that was recommending it and saying how great it was, because you all eventually did break me and got me to play it. And so yeah, totally fun and super worth it. Okay, Nintendo Switch Sports. Specifically, we're going to talk about golf here because that's all the footage I got for it. In general, I thought Nintendo Switch Sports was a little disappointing in comparison to like Wii Sports. I don't know if that's because it's any bit worse. Like, it doesn't have a few of the game modes, but even if it doesn't have boxing, like I never really played the boxing in Wii Sports. Like in Wii Sports, I always kind of just played bowling and golf. I never really did any of the other ones. So this game has both of those now, and it feels just as good in both of them. So I'm not sure why I think it's any worse than that one. But once golf got here, like I'm a big golf fan. I played golf for many years, and then I kind of gave up on it because I was terrible. But you know, golf isn't about being great. Like, it's about you're out there just relaxing and enjoying the company if you're playing with people, like enjoying the sun, getting outdoors. Being bad is a part of the fun of it. And so, you know, in this, like, you're obviously not going to be as bad. It's a lot more forgiving than actual golf, but still it has the competitiveness of playing against people online. The wind aspect of this gets super crazy, and it's just a fun time. Like, even if you weren't playing against these people, I think I'd still enjoy playing it. Like, it's just fun to play golf, and even if it's in a Switch Sports aspect of it, even in this kind of formula, I don't know. I think it might be the best way of playing golf at home. Like, I enjoy playing the Tiger Woods games when they were out. I enjoyed the golf club. I enjoy the 2K games, kind of. But this is a totally different experience, obviously. It really puts you there in the course. Like, it feels like you're actually like playing golf in the most in the easiest way possible, like the most simulation golf possible. Like, nothing you do in this is going to help your actual golf game, but still, it's just a totally different, unique golfing experience that you're not going to get in one of those like 2K or anything like that. It's something that Switch Sports can give you that you cannot get, like, even in bowling, right? It puts you there in the lanes. Like, it's the closest you'll get to playing anything at your home, and that's why it's so much fun, and that's why it's like, okay, I'm enjoying this way more than I probably should. And it's also, the best thing about it probably is that it gets me to stand up. So a lot of gaming is done when you're sitting down, and you can end up spending way too much time standing or sitting down. This game gets you to stand up, and it gets you to at least maybe burn 10 to 20 more calories than you might have if you play this for like an hour or so. It's just generally healthier, and the fact that it does that even in the tiniest amount, and that you're having fun while playing it, it's kind of perfect. I will keep playing Switch Sports for as long as it's out. I can guarantee you that. This, along with Ring Fit Adventure, I feel like it's been helping me a lot to just get into the slightest healthier habits, and on their own, they're not going to change much of your like daily routine, but because I'm standing a little bit more, because I'm moving just a little bit more, it got me to start like doing more activity outside of playing these games, and that's kind of huge. So I really do enjoy Switch Sports a lot. I think it lives up to the Wii Sports like legacy, and I really don't think it deserves all that hate. All the games are pretty fun. Tennis is like, all of them are just like, you wish they were just a tiny little bit better. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I still enjoy like most of the games. But for me, golf and bowling is where it's at, and I'm gonna keep playing those for years, as long as this game is out. And we have gotten to the last game on this list. I am barely making it here, but let's talk about it because this game is actually one of my favorites of the year, a musical story. So this is a rhythm game, and you play just using the left and right bumpers, I believe. I feel it feels weird like not knowing for sure. It's just kind of like when I think of that in my mind, I'm like, why would they only let you play with the left and right bumpers? Like, is there something that I'm missing where you can play in a different mode? But as far as I know, you play with the left and right bumpers of the controller, and you just kind of play this very simple yet very entertaining and very moving rhythm game that's like telling you this story through the music, of course, but through these visuals as you go through these songs and through the gameplay as you like, you know, do the rhythm and you do it Guitar Hero style kind of thing. And it tells you like the story of this guy as he goes on this journey, it's a musical story, you know, and you just kind of, yeah, it's just so great. It's one of those same things where it's like you can feel how much heart is in this, so much care, so much love, and the music is nice to listen to, and that's kind of like it hits on every level. That's gonna work for me every time. I love music in games so much. I'm a huge fan of rhythm games. I was like a huge Guitar Hero player. I was never like the best player ever. I prided myself on like being someone that was really, really good on hard difficulty, and then I could like play some of the easy songs on expert. But I know some people are like expert on everything and they master them, and they're like, it's not a problem at all. And so this one is not going to do that. This is not like something that's going to test your skills, unfortunately. So I do wish it was a little bit harder, because it was a breeze the entire time. Even some of the later levels, I'm like, yeah, there was maybe a couple songs that I was struggling on, but even then, like nothing like some of the like Rock Band and Guitar Hero songs that you couldn't beat at all. All these are definitely beatable, but still, it's more than just a rhythm game. That's the thing. It is still just like a narrative story that's also a big part of this as well. So you have to look at it beyond just the music. But yeah, just as a whole experience of it, I loved it. It was something that resonated with me. It stuck with me, and I really do wish, like, the only reason it's not going to be like way at the top of the list is because if it was like actually a very tough game to play, and it was one that I could go back to just to play the songs, then I would love it. But it's not really one you can go back to. It's like once you beat it, it's like, well, I mean, it was super easy. I'm not going to get a lot out of playing this, so there's no real reason to, but I loved it while I was playing it. I'm glad that I did play it because it was heartfelt. It was truly a musical story. It was like a musical adventure, and getting to know all this through the visuals, because there's no dialogue at all. It's all just telling you this through these scenes here. It's like almost a music video per se, but it's just kind of it's so nice. It really does do it in a nice way because of the music. The music, of course, that's where it all stems from. That's where it all begins and ends. And I really did love this one. I do recommend it. And yeah, so that is a musical story. We have made it to the end. I'm struggling here. It's always kind of amazing to know how much like just talking can take energy out of you, but it's been 2 hours of this, 2 hours of straight talking, but it's gone by so fast. It's like the fastest 2 hours of my entire life. I don't know how obvious it's going to be that my voice is just gone now. I think it might be pretty obvious. Who knows? Maybe the audio processing and all that will take away any of that, but we've gotten here to the end, and I've got some footage here from the chant, which I was going to talk about at one point, but it just didn't do much for me. It looks kind of nice, so I just figured I'd put it here at the end just to have something to look at, but it is a very forgettable game. Do not recommend it. It's just kind of whatever. And yeah, it had some interesting things about it, but not really. So yeah, we're at the end. I talked about what I wanted to talk about. I feel Like I was able to say exactly what I wanted to. Of course, there's so much more I can say. It's so much, right? It's my life, and you can't go through all of that in just 10, 15, 20 minutes of talking, but I was able to get the key points out and just let you all know a little bit more about me, also, and a little bit more of like where I've been this year, what's been going on. I don't know how many people will actually be interested, but I did feel like it was very important to talk about it and to get it out there, and to now allow me to, like, for myself. It's not like I was waiting for anyone to say like, hey, I accept you. Now you can begin to do what you want to. It's like, no, I had to do that for myself. And in order for that to happen, I had to do this. I had to talk about this. And now that I have, I can finally just be like, okay, even if I make the videos in the future and people are coming to the channel for the first time and they don't know, they hear my voice, they're going to think it's just, that's just some guy, right? But hopefully my voice does change over time, but it's going to be a process. So I do think that'll be the case for a while. But I'll always have that in my heart. I'll always have that, like, knowing that I said all this in this video, and it'll give me so much peace of mind. It'll let me just be a little bit more open, let me be less scared going forward about what I'm saying and what I want to talk about, what I want to make videos about, right? I'm just gonna do it based on who I am, like what I want to do, and not what I think others might want from a channel like this that talks about video games. Like I maybe those shouldn't, like, it shouldn't really like cause any problems. Like they should go hand in hand in a way, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where you let things like that hold you back, and I just don't want that because it really has held me back, and maybe nothing will change. That's the thing. So like going forward, let's talk about the future just a little tiny bit here, because I don't want this video to go on too long. But going forward, there's no real like huge plans. I'm still going to talk about gaming. I'm still going to talk about the games that interest me and like the ones that I do choose to play. The ones that I do choose to play, and I'm always kind of like drawn more into the indie games and just what they happen to be about, things that look a little bit different than the normal. But I'm also into the big games too, so I just don't really know what I'll like be doing going forward. I've been enjoying doing the videos with no scripts. I've been enjoying doing like the videos that aren't reviews, discussions about games. That's like what I've always wanted to do. Maybe I can work on the titles being a little bit better, working on thumbnails a little bit better. Video essays have always still been kind of fun, but again, I kind of want to move away from doing the scripting stuff, but who knows, maybe every once in a while. I don't think I was ever able to really think about like what I really wanted to do with this channel because of all this weight on my shoulders that nobody was putting there besides myself. But I had to talk about this in order to get it out, to get it off. And now finally, maybe I'll be able to see with more clarity of like what I want to really get out of this channel, what I really want to do moving forward. But I don't want to just make a drastic change and be like, okay, well, I'm going to start talking about, cars. I'm going to start talking about tires and, what brand really makes them go faster. Like, it's still going to be about gaming, and who knows, maybe I'll venture out and try to talk about like movies or something at some point. But for now, I'm not gonna like do anything drastic right out the jump. I'm like, all right, let's stick with the games in 2023. Let's see where this can go. I'm gonna try and put some more effort into video editing. The one big thing I could see changing is the style of the video, because this is gonna sound so pretentious, but like I feel like I'm a filmmaker at heart. And I've done nothing of that in the videos. Like I do the most basic video editing ever. And I want to try something more. I want to try something with like After Effects. I want to try just different formats, and maybe even make some kind of like a mixture of a video essay and a music video, and just see what happens. I want to like explore that. I want to try. I want to experiment, and maybe there'll be a bunch of failures, but who knows? Maybe one of them will end up working out, and that could be fun. That could be super fun. And that's kind of the only like plan that I have, the only goal that I have, to experiment. I want to experiment in 2023, and this will finally, I think, just I'll be able to have peace of mind that I talked about everything I wanted to talk about, and then now I can just focus on me. I can focus on what I really want to do, and just let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I am very hopeful for the future. I am very proud of what I've done up until this point, but I want to do more. I want to really give everything I have for 1 year, and if it doesn't work out, maybe then I'll give up. You know, this channel didn't really work out, or maybe I'll keep it and just like keep doing what I'm doing. It's just for a small group of people anyway, because I still do enjoy it. But I do want to like try and do something that a lot of people are into, a lot of people would be interested in. And yeah, I think there's always a certain point where you can kind of start over or give up or any of those things, and it's not a bad thing. But I don't want to do that without really giving it my all, and I don't think I've done that yet, and I want to do that this year. That's really the big plan for 2023, and who knows how that will go, because I've had those kind of ideas and plans before. I'm hoping, like, yeah, there was a lot going on in my life that at the start of this channel I didn't even know, and now maybe, who knows? You just never know what to expect. You never know what's gonna happen, and that's just one of those things. But I'm excited. I'm hopeful, and that's it for me. That's it for this video. I think I'm gonna do I want to even do a best of list? I'm like so worn out. I feel like I've done everything I needed to with this. Maybe I can make a whole separate video for the best of. I know it's gonna throw people off because they're like gonna look for the best of list at the end. It's like, wait, where is it? It's not even here. Maybe I'll do some fancy editing to like take out when I said that every time, and nobody will ever even know. But I think I might like the video just kind of ending here. But I do want to do like a bit of a music montage that I always do at the end of this, and then we can call it. But I really enjoyed talking to you all today. It was a lot of fun. I think this was the best way possible to end the year. I didn't think I was going to get this done today. I thought I waited too long. I had a canker sore that was the worst one of my entire life. It took me out for a whole week when I planned on working on this video. So I literally did all of this in 1 day. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I did all of this. Like I said, I've been talking for 2 hours straight. I got all the footage and I put it together. And now I've got to edit and stuff, and hopefully it won't be too bad. It's going to take a long time. I have to listen to all of this again and cut out stuff, and maybe I won't. I don't know. Who knows how this is going to end up. But again, thank you all so much for listening to this, for watching this. I hope you're all doing amazing out there. You all mean so much to me, and I hope you play some great games in 2023. You know, I think we deserve that too. Along with health and happiness, we deserve some great games. And I bet we'll all get at least one. We'll all get at least one next year. Maybe there'll be different ones for all of us, but at least one. That's possible, right? So, until the next one, everybody, that's been me. Happy 2023, and enjoy this music gaming montage to close out the year. Even though you're probably watching this, even if you're watching this already in 2023. So until next time, everybody, take care.